Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the next sound design research recap video. I've already done one of these. This is number 2. Essentially what this is that I stream, sometimes just dicking around making cool sounds, and instead of recording the entire thing, uploading a 4-hour video to YouTube, this is just I'm just gonna do it on the stream. You can watch it live if you want, and then when I'm done, I'll do a recap video of everything that I did. So today, I was big on some weird Serum stuff and a lot of resampling, and then eventually this big hilariousness here we're going to talk about in a second. So, I don't think this is... It began with an experiment of me trying to record my voice and then make that into a Serum tape, which I've done before, but that's not what I ended up doing. This is a table I've made before that I'm using here. Experimenting with FM from the other oscillator, and then also using Vocodex as a sort of a singular effect tool, with a sense that I'm not actually adding in a modulator. I'm using it as its own modulator, which is something that Virtual Riot does a lot, and it's not something I considered doing before. Then I recorded it, and then I think I did make it into another. Oh no, I recorded it, and then I used the granulizer. This is the fruity granulizer that I just kind of screw around with, because another thing that Virtual Riot showed me was this thing called Buff Eater, which it does a lot more than granulizing, and it's kind of awesome, and I think I might actually get it. But I don't have it, so I was screwing around with similar ideas, trying to see if that's something I could do. This ended up being interesting, because what this is I had, I actually made some waveforms manually inside Serum, and I was fading between them and doing all sorts of neat stuff. I was ring modulating it, I made a Reese out of it, and then I was doing my usual Reese processing. And then I decided to get interesting, and I layered not only a Vocodex kind of chain in there, like on top of stuff, but along with the regular one, and a sub. But I also decided to use FM8. And what the FM8 can do is that you can load it as an effect, and then you could use it to FM the incoming audio, or to FM with the incoming audio. In this case, I decided to FM the incoming audio. With interesting success. To do this in Patcher, what you do, because right now this is the effect version of Patcher, not the generated version of Patcher. So you have to actually right-click on this, go to Outputs and Events, and then pick a MIDI port that you're going to input audio or MIDI with. So, and then you got to get a MIDI out, tell it to be the port that you want, and then when you hit notes on it, it'll trigger the note here, and then it can be put into the MIDI input of FM8. And then you go into FM8 and you tell it which port you want to put in. You actually want it to be port 0, not port 1, because the port 0 is just the default port inside. And that's really what's happening. It doesn't. This link is not so much that it knows that it's port 1 from the MIDI input. This is from the MIDI input port 1, and then you kind of just route it, and then you tell FMA to accept just MIDI in general by saying port 0. Do any other port, it won't do anything at all. So port 0. This will trigger notes inside FM8, and this is how you can use it to FM stuff. And I have E and F. One's a triangle, one's a sine, and they're modulating the signal path. I'll do a bit more with that in a second. With this big guy over here. That was actually what this one was, but I actually accidentally got rid of the MIDI. That's what actual sort of modulation sounds like with that with that going on. And then I made this. This is a harmor. A lot of the changes I made to the harmor's actual sound I did with all this craziness on. It's actually one of the last things I did. And it's got detune 2, but it's on the soft form, so that's actually has to be a square form because the detune 2 makes it sort of be the harmonic position of a square. A little bit of prism, some unison with some weirdness in harmonic unison shape. The phaser is in harmonic mode because we have weirdness in the harmonic unison, and also the prism creates a sort of a special phaser interaction. It's distorted. There's a little bit of a chorus going on, and then it's going into this giant chain going on here, which also involves FM8 doing its thing. That's what just the FM8 sounds like. I decided I was doing essentially the same EQ mod stuff, only instead of doing the EQ as I did with actual filters. And the results are pretty similar. I'll just highlight all the EQ mods here. And then I just went back doing EQ mods. This one was a bit special because instead of doing band stops, I actually just did peaks. Which was fun. A whole lot of compression, a lot of distortion, a lot more extra compression. And then this guy is just a sub that I kind of output and reconnect to various stages of the mix because this does destroy the bass sort of clarity rather easily. Yeah, and then it goes out eventually. And then I tried some resampling it with reverb and then doing reverse reverb. Which is a lot of fun, but this thing is pretty much I have enjoyed what this was the most today. Anyway, if you missed that I was doing this, I haven't quite settled on when I want to do this in a regular way. My schedule's kind of weird because of the lessons I got scheduled, plus also a bunch of personal shit going on in my life that eventually I might talk about. But it's eventually I'll be doing a lot of streaming, like during a lot of the times a day, not just regular EST times. Because right now it's actually kind of early in the morning for me, so it's more accessible for the European and Far East people. But I'm streaming on Twitch. The Twitch account is /SeamlessR, pretty easy to find. And other than that, if you miss them, I'll have these recap videos and whatever. Usually, all the other ones that I do, I'll also be on YouTube. So it's not really a tremendous deal if you miss them, but it's a lot of fun if you actually are here because then you can interact when I actually pay attention to the chat, which I didn't really do a whole lot today of. Sorry. If you have any questions about any of this, let me know. And as usual, have a nice day.